Austria. The birthplace of classical music, coffeehouse culture, and architectural marvels. A place that turns the ordinary into an art. It's woven into the land, the buildings, and the people. And football here is treated no differently. From breathtaking pitches to century-old rivalries and underground matches, football here is an art form. I'm here to discover the symphony of history, passion, and beauty that is Austrian football. My name is Marcus Blumenfeld, and this is The Global Game. My journey begins in the small but remarkably beautiful city of Salzburg. Sitting at the foothills of the Austrian Alps and the birthplace of Mozart, it's a medieval monument that embodies centuries of history. I'm here to meet Jovan, co-founder of a local street football league, Kings of Klessheim, and the International Street Football Association, has been building a local and global community of passionate players and creatives who romanticize the beauty and authenticity of street football.
We're at the legendary court, Klessheim, and for all, this, just sitting here gives me goosebumps. It literally gives me goosebumps. Why? Because, in my opinion, this is pure freedom. I mean, now there are just two guys here, right? But normally this pitch is full when there's spring, when it's summer, even in fall. And what is it all about? Is people just coming together and just balling. Nothing else. And you cannot imagine how different these people are. I don't care about just the sports, to be honest. I care more about bringing the people together. This is like the main thing. And it makes sense because a lot of people who gather here, they don't have like stable families. They don't have a stable life, even if it's Austria. But it's mainly people with their own problems, with their own crosses they have to carry. And bringing those people together and actually creating a zone where they can actually open up as tough young guys. That's the most beautiful thing. And I see that the whole thing is the same everywhere else. Everywhere else. This is why I love street football. It's raw. And what does it mean to be raw? It's real, it's true, it's authentic.
Checking what eyes kept me sweating, oh why I can't be living word fly, keep the gleam in your eye. Con mucho drum roll on time, let the horn blow. Gas to the pedal like metal at a court show. The rhyme rocker with a shitload of placa. Grab the mic and freak the rhythm till there's no more bala. Story palabras, pero booze and ha-ha. That includes all who goes sissy la la. So do the cha-cha, who can call me Papa. We're okay for action, hunt until mañana. Down for hi-hat crash and whiplash. City night, bright light and herb stash. As they come, I can feel the drum, don't know the word, but you can hum.
Okay, let's be the guys who are from the streets, doing something for the streets, and also keeping it in the hands of the street.
I think there's something special about like when you first come onto a football pitch, like maybe street football is like very important for you. And when you can come back and kind of transport yourself back in time, like back onto the street football pitch, like I think that's a really beautiful way to look at it as a place to have fun, to play.
thing is that the world is our playground, because as a child that goes here, you know, this is paradise for you as a child, as a 5-year-old. Oh my God, it's, you know, we can just play. But those who or kept the heart of a child, let's say like this, they still see the world as a playground. And for us, it's like that. We see a parking lot, we see a potential street football court. We see this underground garage of the stadium, we see a potential street football court. Warehouse, some containers over there, everywhere. And we started doing street football tournaments everywhere because the world is literally our playground. Why just being bound to specific systems like, okay, here's a pitch and we can just play here? No, man, let's play here and there. And what happens in the end? In the best way, you inspire people. Because, you know, here, Austria, man, it's such a stiff society you cannot imagine, unfortunately. And when they see a bunch of not just youngsters, but grown-ups playing in the center of Salzburg with small goals, something makes them think later, you know, like, okay, these guys are just enjoying their time. And then they're gonna think, when was the last time I enjoyed something? Like, it's pure openness, pure joy, pure love for everything. And this is where you should be.
I love it. Thank you so much for this. This is awesome.
The next morning, before making my way to Vienna, I couldn't leave Salzburg without visiting one of the oldest operating bakeries in all of Europe. St. Peter's Abbey Bakery, carved into the rocks beneath the castle, and serving freshly baked bread since the 12th century, a tradition now preserved by a local husband and wife.
This bakery exists since the 12th century. It was a bakery of the monks.
Since you've taken it over, how have you kept the traditions of the bakery alive?
The receipt is an old receipt, but it's not a mystery. We use only natural products: flour, water, salt, and the sourdough. Centuries there exist only stones for the production of flour. The wheel outside is to produce electricity. Yeah? In former times, the wheel was directly connected with the stones. Just a moment. The cover is the stone who runs, and down is a stone who is still. So,
Vienna, Austria's cultural capital, boasts many treasures, from art to schnitzel, but above all, coffeehouse culture. In these cafes, often called places where time and space are consumed, but only the coffee is on the bill, centuries of conversation have shaped entire eras. The same spirit of creativity gave birth to modern football here. From pioneering professionalism to refining modern tactics, culminating in a golden age for Austrian football, known as the Wunderteam.
Football in Austria, 1924 is an important year for Viennese football also, because this year professionalism was invented. Vienna was the first part of Europe which invented professional football. So this was one of the most renowned football teams worldwide at this time.
But perhaps the city's greatest football legacy is a derby that divides Vienna between Austria Wien and Rapid Wien, a rivalry that has defined Vienna for over a century.
No matter which position you have or where you are, from where you are, it's like a final game.
Doesn't matter who wins the league.
Yeah,
Whoever wins this game has the pride.
Yeah, that's it.
These two sides are diametrically opposed on every level. Green versus violet, working class versus sophisticated coffeehouse culture, Rapid versus Austria. The pinnacle of Austrian football. This is the Vienna Derby.
The Vienna Derby is massive anyway. It's one of Europe's most frequently played derbies. one of the oldest derbies in Europe. They met for the first time in 1911. You know, Austrian football took off in the 30s.
Plassenegger sieht Merlip alleine auf Ladimeyer und das
So they've got this really long running history between the two of them. Austrian football was regionalised for a long time as well. So clubs in the same region or in the same city in this day would play each other more and more for sort of all the big silverware in the 50s and 60s and stuff. They were meeting for these titles, for these trophies. And now, this season, maybe, you know, winning a derby could actually be a stepping stone on the way to winning a title. So it's getting this different level of significance back as well.
Attackiert ihn nicht, dann kommt der Ball zu Mamadou Sangaré und das ist einfach nur wow.
The match itself delivered top-tier entertainment, but the absence of away fans left a strange void in the atmosphere. To learn more, I visited a famous coffee house to speak to two local experts. Peter Manasse, an author and Austria Wien devotee, and Georg Spitaler, a political scientist at the University of Vienna who supports the other side of this derby, Rapid.
I was at the last derby at the Rapid Stadium where there was this pitch invasion by like a small faction of the ultras. Or
what happened in the last derby was that they shot these rockets into the sector where the families are situated, and that's a no-go. So they had to react on that.
But there's also the story about Rapid Ultras that they don't take the underground number 2 because it has the violet colors. And yeah, so they must find another way to get from A to B.
It gets destroyed from time to time when the Rapid supporters are going angry because Austria wins the games.
It's very fitting that we're discussing football in a coffee house in Vienna, because this is what's been happening for the last 100 years, and I think that it feeds so much into what Vienna football is discussion over coffee houses and just kind of more the intellectual side of the game, developing it. To you, what is the importance of coffee houses in Vienna football?
Coffee house is Vienna.
that means Vienna.
Back in the 1920s and 30s, coffee houses would be places where you would meet the players, the club officials, the fans, and the journalists, and they would meet in the cafes, and like every club had its own cafe basically. And so this term of coffee house football, it was coined back then in the 1920s. And there's also this famous story about the national team, the Wunderteam, that the lineup of the Wunderteam was decided in a cafe by the fans, and the manager just said,
Yeah, and it said that Hugo Meisel
Yes.
even have
Yes.
office. He'd own the setup in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Anyone could come find him there and give their opinion.
Yeah. Hugo Meisel wasn't so successful at the beginning, and so the journalists criticized him, and then they proposed the team, and he took this team and said, "There you have your team," and it was good. It was good.
I reached out to Tom Midler, a commentator and expert of Austrian football, to hear his thoughts on the derby. We sat down for a pint at his favorite local pub.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, growing up in England, growing up in the UK, football is such a big part of my childhood, basically everyone's childhood in the UK. And I moved out to Austria. I was a freelance football writer. I was checking out the local football scene, and I just fell in love with the country and also the football here. Of course, there's clubs all over the country. It has become a little bit more tense in a way over the last 10, 20 years because there are no league titles to play for. Often this was the pinnacle of the season now. Just winning the Vienna Derby is more important than anything else because we're not going to win the league title. So we may as well at least have the city bragging rights. Again, we can see that just starting to change now. We went through a long spell of cagey derbies that were always kind of 1-1. It was more exciting maybe off the field than it was on the field. This is just breaking apart now a little bit too. The games are coming back to life. Teams are starting to actually win the derby. They're not all just ending in the inevitable de bonjour. These clubs have basically had no trophies to compete for because Red Bull Salzburg have swept along almost everything in the last 20 years.
But with the recent slip in form, the tables have finally opened up. Austria Wien's victory over Rapid puts them firmly in contention for the title. The Red Bull takeover was hugely controversial, and their stadium can often be found half empty. You just can't buy history. Meanwhile, the original SK Austria Salzburg, now in the 3rd division, still draws a passionate crowd, even for their youth team's matches. In Austria, football sometimes takes a backseat to the country's most popular sport, skiing, especially in the mountains of Tyrol. These small mountain towns are beautiful and filled with charm. And to authentically experience the magic of the mountains, I met up with an old friend of mine, Ian, and together we took the traditional approach to skiing, by walking up.
Telling me about this, I tell
At higher altitudes, old traditions thrive in unexpected places. The 500-year-old Starkenberg Brewery has been brewing beer for the local people since medieval times. Keeping its beer and treasured recipes mostly untouched in that time.
In the old days, the knights and the family ate and where they drank, and it was really wild sometimes here.
So this was like a gathering hall for like knights in the olden days.
Yes.
And then now it's just still used for the same reasons, but without the actual knights.
Yeah.
The brewery also supplies beer for the town's Fasching. And every 4 years Carnival in the town of Terenz, where in medieval lore like the legends of witches once roaming these hills, is celebrated with loads of beer and Tyrolean ham. Straight out of a fairy tale, or maybe a twisted fever dream, this celebration defies the ordinary. For months, locals design floats, sew intricate costumes, and rehearse parade routines, all for the town's pride and collective amusement. It's a tradition that's been carefully kept alive for centuries. Austria is a place where tradition runs deep, and football beats at its core. There's a history behind every cafe and castle. From the centuries-old Vienna Derby to coffeehouse culture's influence on the modern game, the beauty of this country is astounding, and its football remains pure and nostalgic. This is Austria, and this is the global game.